this to be a problem, you know, with the people in Madare Hospital. But now, clearly, if this is what is causing, you know, the suicides and everything else, then it has turned out to be, or it is a real problem. Basically, a realization that, basically, I mean, what we are having is much bigger than we can imagine about it. And I don't know when you hear somebody has committed suicide, when you see somebody behaving in a particular way that you find is not the norm, how do you view them? Do we sideline them? Do we think that, you know, this guy has gone mad or what have you, or just misunderstand, you know, what's up with this one? You know, how do we view them? Are we already in that place where we are able to appreciate and say, well, there seems to be a problem here. Maybe we need to, you know, we need to help, or this person needs help. And that's the topic of tonight. And yes, we are privileged to have none other. I will not do so much introduction about the program for now. Maybe I can mention that later because it's already quite into our time. Yes, we have a very special guest, Dr. Beatrice Mainge, an expert in this particular topic in the house. And I'm so grateful, Coach Ruth, you could connect me with such a resource. And I'm so humbled. So I don't want to take even a single more minute. I want to invite you, Coach Ruth, to invite for us our guest speaker. So karibu sana.
Thank you, Coach Matthew, and good evening. It is such a great honor to be in this place and in the house today. Yeah, we know we had a date last weekend. I believe you can hear me clear.
Yes, we can.
Yes. So having had a discussion last week and having a date, you know, I always love giving a gift to the Royal Mentorship during my birthday. And this time around, I think July was a busy one for me, but I thank God that we managed to have some discussion and engagement to maintain our shape. And with us today is a good friend of mine. She is a doctor. We've done so much with her in different forums. So I wish to introduce us Dr. Beatrice Mainge, and she will be able to take us through today's discussion, a crucial discussion on the mental aspect. She's a director at Nobility House Restoration Center. And today we are so privileged to have this engagement with her. And she's also a teacher. Other than being a parent, she wears so many hats. And today we are so honored to have her. Thank you, Dr. for finding some time to spend this evening together with us. And it is my singular opportunity to welcome you to the Royal Mentorship, whereby we are interacting with the youth. And the youth here, like Matthew will tell you, we range between the age of 18 to all the way up to over 40. And so you are most welcome. Engage with us, and God bless you. Thank you. Over to you, Dr.
Thank you, Ruth. Thank you for inviting me to this forum. I am humbled even for having this opportunity to share what God has put in my heart. And like I have been introduced, it's always good to say something about myself, that I'm a teacher by profession, and then a psychologist. Mostly I deal with issues of mental health. I'm actually a mental health enthusiast. I am a teacher. I lecture at Multimedia University. I teach psychology at Multimedia University. And I also run a mental health facility, like Ruth has indicated, called Nobility House Treatment Center, where I deal with issues of mental health and especially issues of mental illness that is induced by substance use disorders. And above all, I am a mother of adult children and one child. I'm a mother of 2 adults, 1 teenager, and a child who is 10 years. And so as I speak, I would speak from what I have seen, what I have learned, and what I have experienced in my profession. So it's my pleasure to be in this forum. I hope we can make it interactive, because one thing I want to believe is that the issue of mental health, there is so much information. Actually, the internet is awash with issues of mental health. The data is out there. Just last week, we were grappling with the data that just came out about 430 cases of suicide in the last 3 months. And also the issue of Kenya being ranked as the 6th most depressed country in the world. All this data is out there. And the question we are asking ourselves is, after we have known how many people have mental health issues, so what next? What next? And my concern is, what is it that we can do to actually equip people with what we call psychological resources? Because we are living in very unprecedented times when we have issues of the pandemic, and we all know what happened when the pandemic broke out, issues of people losing their jobs, people losing their source of income, families almost disintegrating because parents are stressed, the children are stressed. And we say that you cannot give what you don't have. So if parents are also in a flight mode because of the pandemic, then they miss out on, helping the young people who may be struggling with mental health issues. And I want to believe that that is why we see an escalation of mental health issues, because everyone is in a flight mode. The pandemic is affecting everyone. The parents are not exempted. So everyone is kind of trying to save their own lives. And so the young people are, kind of not being attended to the way they should because of what is happening around. And that's why in this presentation, which I'm going to share shortly, we want to see what are some of the mental health issues that young people are struggling with, and what intervention can we give so that we equip them with resources. So when the stresses come, when there are issues of job loss, when there are issues of, all the issues that are happening, that there is something they can pull from inside of them to be able to handle what is happening. So allow me to share my screen. I think being a teacher, it's always good to share what I have. So we want to look at what is happening, what is mental health, what are the interventions that are available, so that we can equip ourselves, like I said, with resources that we can all use. Someone, please confirm whether I'm still clear.
Yes, loud and clear, and we can see the screen.
And you can see my screen, wonderful. So we are talking about mental health among young people, and I want to believe mental health is mental health across all the ages. And so we are saying that mental health is actually a spectrum. It is not a one stand issue. It is a spectrum. It is fluid and can change over time. And that's why we are saying today that it is important for all of us to take care of our mental health, because you can be okay today, but then issues happen and you find that you're struggling with mental health. And that's why we are saying it is a spectrum. It can change over time. And we want to ask, what are some of the general causes of mental illness? One of the causes of mental illness is inherited traits, meaning that actually we can inherit the chemical imbalances in the brain which cause issues of mental health. We can be predisposed to issues of depression, issues of schizophrenia. Issues of mental health are actually traits that we can inherit from our family of origin. And that's why it becomes important for us to be understanding to people who have mental health issues, because some of them may have been caused by them carrying that gene from the family of origin. Another cause is negative life experiences, or what we call traumatic life experiences. We know what is happening in the world, not just in the country, about the pandemic. Actually, I was telling another group of people that the moment the dust of Corona goes down, the next pandemic is the mental illness pandemic. And I am almost tempted to say that the mental illness pandemic is almost overtaking the Corona pandemic, because we have read in the papers, we have seen on TV, the kind of things that are happening, things that we never used to experience before. Someone just turning against their children and just killing them, someone killing the wife, someone killing the husband, because actually the pandemic is a traumatic experience. Because a trauma is when you experience a life-threatening situation. It can be happening to you, or you can witness it happening to someone else. And during this pandemic, we have seen people dying. We have seen our loved ones losing the battle to the pandemic. And so trauma is life all around us. And that is one of the causes that we can say that is escalating the issues of mental illness. Then, of course, we have the environmental exposure before birth, viruses, toxins, parents who may be smoking when they are pregnant, or taking alcohol when they're expecting their children. And this exposure to these kinds of toxins when a child is still in the womb of the mother can actually predispose them to getting a mental illness later in life. And then, of course, the brain chemistry, like I've said, when we have imbalances in the brain, chemical imbalances, which is an inherited condition. And of course, also hormonal imbalances. Why is it that we say that women are more prone to depression than men? Because women have more chances of hormonal imbalances when they're having their menses, when they're pregnant. And so when there are issues that destabilize them, then we find that the number of depressed women spikes because of these hormonal imbalances. So it is important for us to understand that when we see people who have depression, people who have schizophrenia, people who have bipolar, what are some of the causes of this mental illness? And we are saying what I have just indicated could be the causes. So when we talk about mental health issues among young people, I know that depression has become the buzzword, that even when someone is sad about a situation, even when someone is in a traffic and they are rushing to go somewhere, they say, oh, I'm so depressed. When they are sad about something, they say, I'm so depressed. So we are actually kind of misusing this word depression. But depression, like we are going to see as we move on, is actually a mental illness. It is a mood disorder which needs the attention of a doctor to treat, depending on what kind of depression. But depression is not the only mental health issue among young people. We have issues of anxiety. We have issues of attention deficit disorder. That is what we call hyperactivity. This is why you find someone who is not able to settle on one thing. The attention span is very short. And these are the people when it is not very pronounced, even when they are adults, you find someone is not able to settle in one thing. Today, they have an activity that they're doing, a business that they're doing, then they leave it, they start another one, So another mental health issue among the youth is the issues of addiction. And like I mentioned, this is now my area. This is what I do every day. I work in a rehabilitation center, like I said, Nobility House Rehabilitation Center. Because of all these issues that are happening, some young people have found the use of substances as a way of coping. And we know that the more you use, the more you gravitate towards addiction. So addiction then becomes another mental health issue that is disturbing our young people. Then we also have post-traumatic stress disorder, what we call PTSD. This is the stress that comes later after someone has experienced a traumatic, has had a traumatic experience. And so they are not able to overcome or to come out of that traumatic experience. So they keep re-experiencing the trauma. Then you have the issues of self-harm, especially among young girls, teenagers, who will be cutting their wrists, who will be banging their heads, who will be pulling their hair. All these are issues among young people, still trying to deal with the everyday stresses. And then, of course, we have the big one, which is now in the mouth of everyone, depression and other mood disorders. Depression, we know there are issues of suicide that have been happening. Just last week, we lost a very, very brilliant young man who we thought was doing very well. Because sometimes when we talk about depression, we think that, you know, the face of depression is a face of sadness, a face of hopelessness, a face of sleepy and, you know, someone who has given up in life. But then we have another face of depression, which as we move on, if we get time, we shall talk about it, what we call the smiling depression. Someone who looks very happy, someone who has their life together, they're doing their job, they have their family, they have a big smile, they have a lot of energy, but deep inside, they know that they have depression. They are only masking the sadness. But when they are alone is when they let the masks down and the tears start coming down. And these are the people who are prone to committing suicide because they have hidden the symptoms from other people. But when they are alone, then the hopelessness comes, the sadness comes, and because they have the energy, then sometimes they execute suicide. So let's look at what we are talking about so that we put it in perspective. When you talk about anxiety, we are talking about someone who experiences anxiety. They suffer from panic attacks and fear in high stress events. These are people who have panic attacks. Someone who is supposed to address a gathering, and they have prepared very well, but when they're just about to go on stage, then they get the panic attacks. Or someone who is going for an interview, they know they are well qualified for it, but just before they enter the room, they get into panic attacks. And anxiety, someone who is always expecting something bad to happen. It is a common issue among young people. These are some of the symptoms of anxiety: feelings of panic, fear, or uneasiness, always being on a panic mode, always being on a flight mode. And such people then will have problems sleeping because they're on high alert. Then catastrophic thinking, obsessing over the worst case scenario. That is, they entertain a lot of negativity, just thinking how things are going to fail. And because of this, of course, they'll have heart palpitations, the heart beating faster than usual. They will have difficulty concentrating, their panic attacks. So you can imagine someone like this working in an office, working in a bank, holding a very good job. If this condition is not handled, there's a likelihood that the person may end up losing the job because most of the times they are not concentrating. They have those panic attacks, always expecting the worst to happen. And so you find that most of the times they're not able to complete their assignments. And when someone gets such a panic attack, there are ways that we can help them. You can have the person find a quiet space away from people, encourage them to take slow, deep breaths, reassure them that they will be okay, and then provide an activity to redirect energy. We are talking about in case it happens to a friend of yours when you're there, this is how you can assist them. Then the other problem among young people is what we are calling the attention deficit disorder. Combination of problems such as difficulty sustaining attention. And this is a condition that is usually discovered when a person is at the age of 7. If proper treatment is followed and a person adheres to medication and other therapeutic activities that the doctor may advise, then this person can actually live a normal life. Normal, but of course, with this hyperactivity, then those are the people I was saying that they're not able to be consistent in even their work. So you find today someone is doing M-Pesa, tomorrow they are selling charcoal, the other day they have started a kiosk, hyperactivity. But with proper guidance and proper attention, they can still live a normal and productive life. And that's why we are saying that this hyperactivity as a mental illness can affect home life, school work, sports activities, because someone is not able to be consistent in one thing. These are some of the signs and symptoms of hyperactivity. They fail to pay close attention to details. And so you'll find that someone is writing a report and they leave out very important details, or they're not able to complete because of this hyperactivity. They make careless mistakes. They have trouble keeping attention, difficulty following through on instructions, problems organizing tasks or activities. And you can see this is why we are saying that this condition can actually affect someone's work and even their productivity. They always seems on the go, talking excessively, difficulty waiting their turn, interrupts conversations, very impatient people. When they go to a bank and there is a long queue, they will be fidgeting and looking for a way to cut the line. Of course, not everyone who behaves like that has ADD. So I'm not saying that the next time you see someone behaving like that, then you give a diagnosis immediately and you're saying, this person must be suffering from attention deficit disorder. It is not always. Of course, there are those who are just used to, not waiting their turn. But those are some of the symptoms. And then we have the big one, addiction, which is a physical or psychological craving, need for higher and higher doses of a substance, and it leads to bodily harm, social maladjustment, economic hardship. And one thing that people need to understand is that addiction is not just dependence on a substance like drugs. Because when we hear addiction, we think about the marijuana, the alcohol, the heroin, and all those drugs. What about that person who is addicted to a habit or a behavior? When we talk about addiction, we are talking about a behavior or a habit that you have lost control over. Even if it's the use of your phone, to an extent that you leave out important activities because you're using the phone or you're watching TV, and your social life starts to suffer because of your use of that item, or maybe watching TV, or maybe even work. We have people who we call workaholics, that their mind, their attention, everything is on work, such that the family suffers, their social life suffers. So addiction is another mental condition that young people have, not just young people, but many people, dependent on a habit or behavior. Then, of course, we have the post-traumatic stress disorder. Like I've said, is a condition that is triggered by a terrifying event, either experiencing or witnessing it. Like, for example, the people who witnessed the bombing of the Dusit, or the 1998 bombing, those people, some of them still re-experience that, such that if there is a tire burst, they will even faint if it happens near them. They continue to re-experience that. That is what we call PTSD. And for example, and that's why I say that even this issue of the pandemic that we are going through, it has brought a lot of uncertainty. People have lost their jobs. People have lost their loved ones. People have witnessed their loved ones losing the battle to the coronavirus. Some who are being nursed at home and they die at home, and the family witnesses. That's a traumatic event. It is life-threatening, because when it happens to someone that you don't know when it is going to happen to you next. So there is a lot of uncertainty. And the case that I'm building is, why is it that we are having so much mental illness among the youth and among even older people. These are the problems which I'm highlighting. Why the climax is now the suicide cases that we are seeing, you know, the depression cases that we are witnessing is because of these issues that we are raising. And some of the symptoms may include flashbacks, nightmares, anxiety, you know, when someone is re-experiencing a traumatic event. Then we have self-harm. It's also a mental condition among the youth. When someone is feeling sad, when someone is disappointed, when, you know, the mind is so engrossed with a lot of, you know, emotion, someone will try to distract the mind by harming themselves. So that's why we are saying it is the act of attempting to alter a mood. You are trying to change that sadness, that sorrow. You want to change that mood by inflicting physical harm that is serious enough to cause tissue damage to one's body. Because so when you feel the pain, then the thought disappears. So it's like they're trying to just distract their mind from feeling the sadness, from feeling the disappointment. And these are some of the common behaviors, especially among high school students, and especially girls, cutting their veins, burning themselves with a candle, head banging, carving, scratching themselves to an extent that they start bleeding, bruising or hitting themselves, biting, picking of the skin, pulling the hair, even to an extent of breaking some bones. These are common behavior to distract the mind. And of course, these are signs of depression, because this is a person who feels that, you know, they have lost hope in who they are. They don't like themselves. And so you may find that someone may do some of these things. And then we come to the big one. And I know this is where our interest would be: depression. We have said that our country has actually climbed the ladder, that we are the 6th most depressed country. This is not very interesting to hear, meaning that there are many, many people in the country that are depressed. So what is depression? Like I said, it's an emotional disorder which involves sadness, dependency, and low moods. It is characterized by dejection, that someone feeling like they don't matter, hopelessness, inability to feel pleasure or to take interest. And one thing that we need to understand is that depression cannot be treated by just talking someone out of it. And this is what most people are told. Just snap out of it. Just snap out of it. You see, when someone is so sad, and then you're telling them, what is making you sad? And when they tell you what is making you sad, you try to minimize, telling them, that is such a small thing. What I would want to share with all of us is that if something looks big to someone, the best thing that we can do is to see that thing from that person's perspective. Because when you minimize what this person is experiencing, you actually complicate the problem. So you tell someone, snap out of it. And snapping out of depression is as likely as talking yourself out of a heart attack. Can you tell someone who is having a heart attack to snap out of it? It is not possible. So depression, we are saying, is a serious illness that needs medical attention. I've seen some of, psychologists and counselors struggling with issues of depression. When someone checks in with depression, especially clinical depression, because we can see, especially when you talk to someone and you run the test that we do to establish the kind of depression that a person is going through. If you realize that this is clinical depression, and I mean serious depression, the best thing is to refer this person to a psychiatrist, because this is a condition that can only be treated with medication. It is not with prayers. It is not by singing. It is not by fasting. It is through medication. And that's why you find many people who are seeing counselors, they are seeing other, practitioners, and they go on with depression that is untreated. These are some of the people who end up committing suicide because the problem is not being handled the way it should. So if someone is experiencing mild depression for 2 weeks, they should seek help. What is the difference actually between depression and sadness? Sadness has a cause. If someone is feeling sad, they will tell you, I'm sad, maybe because I lost my job, I lost a relationship, I lost this and this. But depression, sometimes you cannot put your finger to what is causing the sadness. And then it goes on and on for more than 2 weeks. It's not going away. You feel like you are in a deep, dark hole. You can see the light up there, but you don't know how to get there. That is one cardinal symptom of depression. But sadness, you get out of it after some time. And you're saying that left untreated, depression can lead to suicide. Fortunately, depression can be treated and lives saved when symptoms are recognized. And what are some of the symptoms of depression? Exhaustion, lack of energy. Someone wakes up in the morning and they're saying, I feel so tired. They have not done anything, but they're tired, always feeling tired. Then they have problems sleeping, because depression will either make someone sleep too much or lose sleep. So it is either too much or too little. Then they have difficulty concentrating. You are talking to someone, you explain something, and then they say, oh, what did you say again? What did you tell me your name is again? They have difficulty concentrating. And then feelings of hopelessness, not seeing like things are ever going to change. Loss of interest in activities which one used to bring, which used to bring joy to someone. You have a friend, they were happy, and you go, visiting places with them, but all of a sudden they have lost interest. You tell them, let's go somewhere. They say, I don't want, I just want to stay. I just want to stay home, feeling hopeless. Social isolation. These are some of the cardinal, symptoms of depression. And especially now that we are talking to young people, how do you tell that someone has depression? Because sometimes it goes unnoticed, and that's when people end up, doing things that harm them. Withdraw from family and friends. Someone just wants to stay in their room, locking themselves up. Then if someone is in school or in college, a drop in grades. Find someone who has been performing very well, and now their grades are going down. Change in eating and sleeping patterns, either eating too much or too little, and then sleeping patterns also change. And when there is either overeating, there will be weight gain. And when someone gains the weight, then the problem, worsens, because again, they start feeling like they have lost shape and all that. And then the sleeping patterns, unresolved grief over a loss, that when they go through a disappointment, they are not able to get out of it. They keep talking about it. They keep ruminating about it. Another symptom of depression is substance use. Actually, you'll be surprised to hear that in most of the rehabilitation centers, most of the people who check into those facilities, when the doctors do their screening, most of them will be found to have depression. And that's why you'll find that they'll be put on antidepressants, even as the rehabilitation is going on. So and actually it is bidirectional. Substance use can cause depression, and depression can also cause substance use. Because someone who is depressed, they want, someone said that depression is not, it is not actually just a mood disorder. It is a situation where someone feels nothing. So for you to feel something, that's when you find people now starting to use substances or to engage in activities, because their body is numb. They just want to feel something. And so substance use becomes one of the ways of escape. Then of course, there will be difficulty concentrating, remembering, or making decisions, anger outbursts, and all that. Then suicide. Suicide actually is untreated depression. Whenever you see someone committing suicide, it means that there has been issues of depression that was either unnoticed, ignored, or untreated. Suicide. And something else I want to add here is that it is not only depression that makes people commit suicide. People commit suicide because of other mental illnesses like schizophrenia. Because schizophrenia is a mental illness where someone loses touch with reality. And so they can make very, queer decisions. Also, substance use is another reason why people commit suicide. Because we say that the substances that people use, they change the way we think, they change the way we feel. And so you find someone will actually make decision to do some daring things, like even trying out, queer activities. And some of them actually end up dying, suicide. And actually, suicide is the third leading cause of death between 15 to 24-year-olds. Can you imagine? The third leading cause of death, suicide, among this very, very productive age group. And most suicidal teens actually do not want to die. Rather, they feel it is the only way to end their pain. And 9 out of 10 adolescents who commit suicide give clues to others before the suicide attempt. They will always have given some clue. And that's why we say that the family is very important, because it is in the family where people will start to notice the change in someone who has let themselves go, someone who has stopped taking care of themselves. You will have noticed the disturbed sleep, the disturbed eating habits. These are some of the clues. And that's why the family members need to, to stay close to one another, so that when these changes come, then they can be addressed quickly. And that's why I gave, I said at the beginning of this presentation that sometimes these 10% are the ones who show no warning signs. And this is the people that I called the smiling depression. People who are smiling. And you have had cases of people like, actors. Someone leaves people laughing because of the jokes that they are cracking, and they go straight to their house and commit suicide. Smiling depression. A pastor, he's preaching to his congregants, and he leaves people filled with the Spirit and singing, and he goes straight home and commits suicide. So we are saying it is not everyone who is smiling that is happy. It is not everyone who looks active that is happy. But then again, on the extreme, it is not everyone who is sad that is depressed. Because like we have said, sadness and depression are two different things. So even as we look out to help our friends, we need to know that don't just look for that sad face, for that person who looks hopeless. Even the ones who are smiling and laughing, some of them are depressed. And those who are close to them will be able to tell that there is a problem. And when we bring it to their awareness, then we can help them. These are some of the warning signs of suicide. When you see someone starting to give away their prized possessions, someone just takes their phone, something that they loved, and they just give it away. Then there are feelings of despair, hopelessness, and you're trying to encourage them. You're trying to show them how to look at things differently. And, they seem not to be getting out of this hopelessness. This is a suicide warning sign. And then threats to hurt oneself. That's why we say when someone threatens that they're going to commit suicide, they should be taken seriously. Even if they say it while laughing, even if they later tell you that it was a joke, it should be taken seriously. And that's why most of the doctors say that when you find someone who wants to commit suicide or who is threatening to commit suicide, that person should actually be admitted in a hospital so that they can take their medication for depression and they can adhere as the other psychotherapeutic work is being done. And then preoccupation with death, always talking about death, death, preoccupation with death. These are suicide warning signs. And when we notice, and remember we have said even those who are smiling, those who are close to them need to, to bring it to their awareness that, my friend, much as you're laughing, I think there's a problem that we need to address. So how can you help? How can you help someone who has depression and they are gravitating towards harming themselves? We are saying you are part of the problem. If you attempt to punish, to threaten, to bribe, or even to preach to someone who is depressed, someone who is threatening suicide, and you're preaching to them and quoting scripture after scripture, you are part of the problem. Because like we have said, this is a person who needs medical attention. You are part of the problem if you cover up or make excuses for their behavior. That you have noticed someone is depressed, you have heard them saying that they are going to commit suicide, and then you cover up or you make excuses. You don't share with someone. And when it happens, it's when you say, and imagine they had told me. You are part of the problem. You are part of the problem if you take responsibility for the person. Much as we want to help them, we must also make them understand that the final decision will be theirs. Because sometimes you will try to help someone. I have seen families struggling with guilt because they tried the much they could. They took the person to hospital. They told their friends to walk with them. They did everything they could, but the person still ends up committing suicide. So we must also have what we call detachment. And by detachment, I don't mean that we kind of abandon the person. I'm saying that you need to understand that the final decision will be on this person, because you may do everything that you are required to do, but they still end up harming themselves. You are part of the problem if you keep the problem to yourself and choose not to tell someone. Much as they may tell you not to share this information with someone. We said that even when we are doing counseling, we assure our clients of confidentiality, but we still tell them, if you are planning to harm yourself, or if you are planning to harm someone else, then I will break the confidentiality. That is one of the promises you make to them at the beginning. So if someone tells you that they are planning to harm themselves, this is not something to keep to yourself or to keep confidential, because if the person loses their life, you will live with a lot of guilt. So how can you help? You are part of the solution if you remain calm, unemotional, and factually honest in speaking to the person about your concerns. So even that person who is smiling, even that person who is masking their depression, because like I said, as a friend, you'll be able to tell when someone has a problem, much as they're laughing, they're going to work and they're active, you can still tell as a family member or as a close friend. And so we are saying you are part of the solution if you speak to the person about your concerns. Tell them, because you see, we say that some problems thrive in secrecy. As long as someone thinks that no one else is noticing, then the problem can go on. But the moment you tell them, there's something I've seen, and I think you need help, just give them information about depression. And once they know that someone has noticed, then they also start, responding to interventions. Attend support groups. Encourage the person to attend support groups. And you can also even offer to go with them. Encourage your friend to seek help. Encourage them. Let them know you are not alone, because a depressed person feels they are alone, nobody cares, and there is no help available. And the best you can do is let them know that they are not alone, that you'll walk with them, that help is available, and that you will stand with them. So encourage them to seek help. And you can even accompany them to a professional, to see a professional. You are part of the solution if you do not cover up or avoid the situation and confront the person with your concerns. So it is important to let people know that I have noticed that there's a problem. Is it something that you would want to share? Even if you don't want to share with me, is there someone that you can share with? encourage them to speak, because we said that depression comes when we repress issues, and then help comes when we express the issues. So when you share with someone, then the problem starts getting solution, because when it is out there, then you can look at it in a different perspective. These are some of the steps to help someone with a mental illness. Share, concern, skill. Sharing with them information about depression. Let them know some of the symptoms. Maybe the symptoms, they have the symptoms, but they are not aware what they mean. Show concern to them. And then look for information on how you can help them. That's what we are calling the skills. And then these are some of the words that you can say to a person who is depressed. Using the I language. Say, I care. I love you. I see that you're going through this. I feel. Listen, I want to help you. I would like to work with you. I will work with you. It's like you're making a commitment of what you want to, you will do for them. And then don't be afraid to ask the tough question. You know, sometimes people think that if I mention the word suicide to someone, I will have introduced the idea to them. Not at all. Ask the tough question. Are you depressed? Are you starving yourself? By the way, when such a person comes to our offices as psychologists, we will ask them, have you ever thought of committing suicide? In the exact words that I'm saying. And then when they say yes, what did you do? How did you attempt? How many times have you attempted? What method did you use? Because you want them, you want them to hear themselves speaking about, killing themselves. When they hear themselves speak like that, the story starts changing. So ask the tough questions, and don't be afraid that you'll be pushing the person to that problem. And then tell a trusted adult. If you feel that it is a problem that is beyond you, maybe this is a friend who may not respect your decision or respect your advice, then for God's sake, tell a trusted adult. Maybe the parents of the young person, or a pastor, or a friend who you know is closer to them. But for God's sake, don't keep it to yourself. Tell a trusted adult so that this person can be assisted. These are some of the prevention strategies. Share your feelings and emotions with someone you trust. And you say that sometimes it doesn't have to be a family friend, because one of the things that we have been trained as psychologists is to identify someone's strength, someone's social capital, someone's anchor. Do you have a friend that you can share your secrets with, your feelings with, your fear with? If you have that kind of person, then share your feelings, your emotions with someone that you trust. Using positive self-talk. Sometimes, most of the research that has been done on depressed people has found that most of them engage in negative self-talk. People who will say, I will never make it. I have tried everything. This thing is not changing. It will, I don't matter. No one loves me. That kind of negative self-talk. The more you feed your mind with negativity, the more your mind believes that that is the kind of person you are, and the more defeated you will be in life. And that's why we talk about using positive self-talk. That I will make it. My life is getting better and better every day. I am blessed. I will, positive self-talk. And that's why even Paul says in the book of Corinthians, encourage yourselves in the Lord. not because the situation has changed, but encourage yourself until your mind believes that things are changing for the better. And then manage stress with stress management skills. Learn about stress management. What are some of the things that you can do to manage stress when it comes? Using healthy decision-making skills, using effective communication, and then know the signs and symptoms. And we say that even if you're caring for someone who has depression, or if you're caring for someone who has mental illness, it is important for you to understand the signs and symptoms so that, again, you don't misinterpret their behavior, then you don't mismanage them, and then also taking care of yourself as the caregiver. Because we say that if you're managing someone who has depression and you're not taking care of yourself, you will be the next patient. So when we are handling people who have mental illness, our aim would be to be a partner in care, but not a secondary patient. So we also need to take care of ourselves. So how can you support someone? So when you notice someone is acting, disclose to you that they are struggling, there are 5 steps that you can take to support. Assess for risk, especially someone who talks about suicide. You need to assess. If you don't know how to do it, because in our offices, we have the tools that we use to assess for risk. There is a questionnaire, which we call the suicide ideation tool. You assess whether this person is really serious about the committing suicide. And then listen non-judgmentally. As a friend, don't judge them, don't minimize, don't tell them that is a small thing. We say that if someone is feeling that an issue is big, we also need to see it like that. So that's why we say sometimes you have to remove your eyeglasses and wear the glasses of the person who is suffering so that you can see the issue from their perspective. So listen non-judgmentally. Then giving reassurance and giving information. Where is help available? How can they be helped? And then reassure them that it will be fine. Keep trying, don't give up. Then encourage appropriate professional help. Because like I have said, when we are talking about clinical depression, this has to be managed through medication. And this medication needs to be taken with adherence. Not someone is taking today and tomorrow they are not taking. So encourage professional help and then encourage self-help and other support. Also encourage the person to, to have those positive affirmations, give them information about how to manage their stresses, because it is not all the time that you'll be with them. So they need to be armed with psychological resources that they can use for self-support. So how do you model the way to positive mental health? Be open and honest about your own mental health. As a young person, when you feel that you are getting overwhelmed about something, look for someone that you trust and talk to them. Be open and honest. Tell them, I'm not feeling okay. I feel I'm disturbed about this and that thing. Give people the opportunity to discuss how they are doing. And I think like this now forum that we have today, where we are listening to information about mental health, encourage self-care, especially at stressful times. Encourage people to rest and relax. Sometimes we are on the go, so busy doing this and that, to an extent that we forget self-care. It is not a sin. It is not a crime to sometimes take time to rest and relax. And then establishing support networks like this forum. And I really appreciate what is being done here. It is a support network where young people are coming together to share information about mental health. This is very encouraging. Support networks. Set up a buddy scheme and encourage people to check in with each other. Who is a buddy? A buddy is a friend. Someone who will check out on you, someone who you promise that we need to keep talking. Let's not go for more than 2 days before we have spoken. And I saw a support group of people who are over 60. They have formed a support group in a certain estate, and they promise that every morning everyone must write a message to say good morning, good morning, good morning. So if they miss a message from someone, then someone has to go and visit and see what is happening. The same thing we can do as young people. A buddy scheme, who will check out on you when they have not heard from you for 2-3 days? They need to find out, hey, my friend, are you okay? Where are you? What are you doing? This is a very, is a very good way of checking in on one another, because sometimes you find that someone has locked themselves in the house a whole week. No one knows where they are. We have read cases of people who are discovered 2 weeks, 1 week, that they harmed themselves and no one knows. And we see very ugly pictures on TV, people being removed from their houses, and no one knew that something had happened. So it's good to establish those support networks. Identify just one person that you can entrust your feelings to, and share with them, and check in with each other. And as we are coming to the conclusion, what are some of the characteristics of good mental health? Because I think it is important. This is how we can actually self-regulate. This is how we can actually check ourselves. Are we okay mentally? Feeling good about yourself. Just accepting yourself the way you are as a child of God, and believing that things will get better. Even
Hello, can the rest of us hear the speaker?
We can't
Hello.
hear.
Seems we lost her. Oops. Okay. She froze. No, yeah, thank you. I think we can give her maybe a few minutes to come back. She may have been thrown out. Yeah, but I hope you are learning, are you? Are we learning? Are we picking new information? Yeah, so let's wait for Beatrice to come back. Yeah, please, as we do that, as we wait, please share your question, typing them. We will be having a brief session of question and answer. Kindly start putting them on the chat. You could also join our WhatsApp group if you are new here and you want to follow what we do. This I know somebody said I should have done the introduction. I rushed against time. Yes, we do this every Saturday. We are here and we are talking about different things. Today is mental health. The other Saturday we are having something different, and so on and so forth. Yeah, so yeah, last week we were talking about shape, maintaining shape during the pandemic, and yeah, anything, business, career, relationships, everything that is relevant to youth is of interest to us, and therefore every Saturday we are discussing different things. We have great guests gracing our our program every day. So please stay tuned. So I'm waiting, I'm talking like this as I wait for the speaker to come back. And I also as I wait for you, for your questions, because I believe our speaker will be here to answer the questions. Can help me check on her whether she is. We are still getting her back. Yes. So yeah, what have you learned so far? You can also chat the. She's back. Okay, fine. Thank you. I haven't seen. Yes, welcome back. It's maybe because of yes, Daktari. You can go ahead. Let me look for you on the list. Thank you, host again. Okay, great. Daktari, you can go ahead.
Hello.
Hello. Sorry, we lost you.
Yeah. Sorry about that. I was just about to finish. Am I clear again?
Yes, loud and clear.
Yeah. So sorry about that hitch.
It's okay.
Okay. We were talking about the characteristics of good mental health. Feeling good about oneself, feels comfortable with other people, because remember we said that when you see someone self-isolating, withdrawing from friends, refusing to pick calls, that's a sign that something is not okay. Able to meet the demands of life, that person is able to do their work, to keep their hygiene and all that. These are characteristics of good mental health. Expresses emotions in healthy ways. A person whose mental health is not good, they'll have issues of anger outbursts, mood swings, very unpredictable emotions. Good mental health, someone is optimistic, because like I said, that with depression, they always look at the negative side of things. Even when you tell someone that they are smart, they'll say, oh, this dress, imagine even it's mutumba, just just being negative about, not able to appreciate good things. Good mental health uses health skills like stress management. When they are stressed, they don't, mull over the same issue over and over again. Good mental health means that you look for solutions to problems. Stress management. Also decision making. A person whose mental health is not good are very indecisive, that before they make a decision, they will consult until they stall. Good decision making means that you execute a decision within reasonable time. That shows good mental health. Because like the Nike slogan says, just do it. Sometimes you just have to execute something. Because we say that the difference between people who succeed and those who fail is at the point of execution. We may all have very good plans, but at the point of execution is where the divide comes between those who succeed and those who don't. Conflict resolution. A person with good mental health is able to resolve issues easily. They are able to accept their mistakes. They are able to look for solutions. They are able to tell someone, hey, come on, let's talk about it. You don't have to keep fighting about this. That shows maturity and good mental health. Using I messages. Why do we use I messages? Because when you use the you messages are accusatory. And when someone feels that they're being accused, the next thing they're going to do is that they will defend themselves. And when someone is defending themselves, then of course that conversation will not be healthy. That's why we encourage I messages, saying, I feel, I think, I believe. So it's like you're focusing on yourself, and so you attract the attention of that person because they want to hear what is it that you feel, what is it that you're thinking. But when you say you always do this, you are doing this, you accuse, and so they erect a wall, you know, in front of themselves, and that conversation dies. Good mental health, people use I messages. Coping, adapting with change. There's a theory that is called selection, optimization, and maintenance. Coping, adapting with change. Selection is where you have the chance to select the things that you want or the dreams that you have. But then we find that it is not all the dreams that come true. Maybe you had wanted to score an A in your KCSE, or you get first class honors, you know, at the university, but then you find that that does not happen. So how do you then cope with that? People are, you know, healthy people who are healthy are able to say, now that that did not happen, what are my other options? But when you don't have good mental health, you get stuck at that point where you feel that like you have failed, or I did not get the A that I wanted. And so you mark time on that point. Good mental health means that you say you are able to accept that did not happen, but life must go on. What are my other options? So that's why we talk about selection, optimization, where now you optimize on what you have achieved. And then you're also looking at your options. What is it, what you have not been able to achieve? Then you go to the next level where now you maintain and add value to what is left. And that's why we have a prayer where I work, which we call the serenity prayer, where we say, God, give me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things that I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Meaning that you have to come to a point where you accept things that cannot change, and you make peace with them. And then the ones that you can change, you change. Then you know the difference. Good mental health also means that you are assertive. Assertive is not the same as aggressive. Assertive is where you defend your position in a respectful way. Assertiveness is where you are able to say no to situations that are not serving your interests and your goals, and you communicate in a healthy manner. People with whose mental health is not good, they become people pleasers because you are afraid that people are going to reject you. And so you are not assertive. You become a yes person, even to things that don't serve you. Another characteristic of good mental health is that you are an active listener, that you are able to pay attention to other people. Much as you want to be listened to, you also pay attention to other people. And then good mental health means that you are a team player. You can be part of a team. You can be part of a group. And so when you find a person, a young person, who is not fitting within the age group, the friends, that even when people plan to do something, they are the ones who pull out. They are not good team players. Then that is a symptom of some instability, and that person needs to be helped. And remember what we have said in the previous slides, that you help that person by pointing out to them what is it that you have noticed. And we say the moment you bring it to their attention, then they realize that they need to do something about it. And these are the characteristics of good mental health. What about poor mental health? Remember, I say that we are talking about this so that we can actually be self-regulating. We can check ourselves to see whether our mental health has deteriorated, whether it has changed. And remember what we said at the beginning, that mental health is a spectrum. It is not a one-stand thing. When we say that it is a spectrum, it means that it can change anytime because we go through different experiences. We can be very happy today, and then tomorrow something happens and our health changes. So these are the characteristics of poor mental health. So when we find ourselves doing some of these things, then we need to do something about our mental health. One, they do not share feelings. Someone who keeps to themselves, even when they're hurt, they don't speak out. So they become like the Dead Sea, very salty. You know, the Dead Sea only receives, but it does not share. And when we only receive, you know, bad vibes, bad emotions from other people, hurts from other people, but we don't speak out, you become like a pressure cooker that can explode anytime. That is a characteristic of poor mental health. And remember, we say that when you share your feelings, I feel, I think, I would like, then you are letting out the pressure so that you don't burst at some point. Another characteristic is emotions control behavior. That when you experience extreme emotions, when you're extremely happy, you do crazy things. You are happy, so you'll go clubbing, you'll spend the whole night drinking and doing extremely things that may end up hurting you. So emotions control your behavior. When you're angry, everyone will know, even including the cat in your house, because of the things that you do. So we are saying this is poor mental health. When you have good mental health, you are able to control your behavior. Pessimistic, negative, always looking at negative side of things. No one loves me, I will never make it, this is too much. And then ignoring or denying problems. This is poor mental health. Even when someone tells you, I think there's a problem here, we need to do something, you ignore or deny. And these are the characteristics of people that we call the smiling depression. They always say, no, it's not a problem. I think I'm okay. But you can see that they are not okay. Then they cannot accept change. Remember, we said it is, the only thing that is permanent is change. Change will come. One time you are young, the other time you are not as young. One time you are single, the other time you have a family. And there are changes that come with this, the life will change. And so you must also roll with that change. So when we are talking about poor mental health, is that a person is not able to accept change. Even when someone loses a job, like during Corona, we know there are many people who lost jobs, but people reacted differently. There are those who looked for alternatives. Some even, they were working in a bank and today they are very good farmers. They were able to deal with that change and snap out of it, and they became resilient. Another characteristic of poor mental health is less stress-controlled life. That when someone is stressed, they are not able to manage that stress. Then using the you messages. You never do this, you always do this, those messages. Remember, I mentioned that when you use you messages, when you tell someone you don't, it's an accusatory message. And so the person will defend themselves, and that spoils conversations. And when the conversation is spoiled, then the person who is depressed, they get even more isolated. Poor mental health, aggressive and passive. Sometimes you find people are aggressive for no reason. You find someone exchanging words even with a tout in a matatu. because the tout has delayed to give them change, and they become aggressive and they abuse, and and people look at them and wonder, wow, is it only about this, or you have other things that are disturbing you? It's a sign of poor mental health. Depressed, the sadness, the hopelessness, and all that. They run from conflict. Remember, we said on the flip side, when you have good, healthy, good mental health, you engage in conflict resolution, always looking for a solution. Let's talk about this. Let's not get stuck. We can talk about it. What is your view about this? Conflict resolution. Then they are closed-minded. A person who is closed-minded is a sign of poor mental health. That this is how I do it. I will not change. You cannot convince me. It is either my way or the highway. I cannot change. That is close-mindedness. And when you are close-minded, it means that you will not learn even new perspectives. Close-mindedness is a sign of poor mental health and needs to run the group. Remember, we said that a person who has good mental health, they are able to fit within a group. But a person with poor mental health, they want to run the group, that when they say something, no one should question. And these are the people you will see, they join even WhatsApp groups, and then they left us, always left in groups. Why is it that people leave these groups that are even helpful to them? Because they want to feel needed. They are attracting attention. They are crying for attention. These are characteristics of poor mental health. So as we conclude, what we are saying is that mental health is a concern, not just among the young people, but also, across all ages. And the big thing that we need to do is to share and also to look out for one another. Because of that issue that I've introduced about the smiling depression, I said not everyone who is smiling that is happy, and not everyone who is sad that is depressed. So the idea is, who are these close friends who can see when there are problems? So another thing I would want to mention among young people, it's good to keep your family close to you, because these are the people who will be the first one to notice when things are not okay. They are the people who will want to help you. Because sometimes we have so many friends, quote unquote, Facebook friends, but not people who can give us human support and human comfort. You have so many friends on Facebook, but when you have an issue, you have no one who can come to your rescue. And we say that one of the things that is making young people have poor mental health is because of the overuse of the media. By the way, all those things that you see on social media, some of them are not true. Because sometimes we feel, oh, everyone is doing so well, I'm the only one. No one will post a picture of them when they are in a bad state. Everyone will take a picture of the best food in Java, or the best dress that they have, to show how well they are doing. And so young people, sometimes we feel, I'm the only one who is being left out. We need sometimes to question some of these things, and also maybe even control our exposure to even the social media, because there are a lot of untruths that interfere with our emotions. So not everything we see on social media that is true. Another thing that has been ignored that is causing poor mental health among the youth is poor sleep. Because sometimes you find the young people will stay up almost the whole night watching the series, watching videos, and then you find that some of them are getting very little sleep. This is one thing that is bringing a lot of instability to young people. Remember, your brain is still developing. We say that the brain develops out to the age of 25. You are denying the brain the time to regenerate, because the brain cells, they regenerate when we are sleeping, when we are resting. So when you are staying up the whole night, maybe watching the videos and all that, you are denying your brain the opportunity to regenerate. So poor sleep among the youth is one of the culprits of poor mental health. They are not sleeping enough. And then also sometimes poor eating habits. Sometimes we are on the go, so we eat the fries and these fast foods. So it's good also to watch our diet as young people. Remember, our bodies are still growing. We need to eat a balanced diet, get enough sleep, and then exercise. Remember, when we exercise our bodies, we release the endorphins, the feel-good feelings, the feel-good hormones that actually help our body to regenerate. And in fact, when we are dealing with people who are depressed, even the psychiatrists, they will actually prescribe exercise. Besides the sleeping, the diet, and the medication, also exercise. Be on the go, because sometimes when we have this sedentary lifestyle, it contributes to poor mental health. But as we move, as we do things, as we engage our bodies, then it helps us to maintain good mental health. And I think with that, this is just part of the many talks that we can have on how to maintain good mental health among the youth and even among older people. And with that, then we can, we can take back the control of our lives and live a more productive life. So I would wish to stop there and hand over to the convener of this meeting. If there are any questions, I'm here to answer them. Thank you so much, and may God bless you.
Thank you very much. Thanks a lot, Daktari. Wow, what do you think, guys? I think that's been one big eye opener. Learning a lot tonight, I must say, and I want to believe you are too. That you've learned something new that you didn't know before, just like I have. I tell you, it's been a powerful one, to say the least. Yeah, so I'm actually thinking, sometimes I've listened to you, Daktari, and I'm wondering, is any one of us not, is any one of us okay totally? Because, as you're talking, I'm picking something like, that sounds like it describes me, yes, I'm like, am I also sick in one way or the other? I don't know where to draw the line, but I guess it's a combination of a number of factors, and then you are able to see, well, there's an imbalance somewhere. Yeah, and I was, one of the things I picked interesting is that what you've said about lefters of groups. I know it does not necessarily that every time we leave groups we are mentally ill, but it's interesting to know that actually it might be a mental illness that is causing somebody just getting into a group. Before long, you just leave, and and some I've found somewhere it is quite interesting. Somebody joins a group. It was supposed to be possibly fundraising for a sick person. You join, and then within 5 minutes you check out. Nanile, I could join using the link. So you're like, what was this person coming to look? And then they are out after 5 minutes. Then you are like, does it sound okay? So that's very interesting. I want to go to questions. If you want to ask, put it there on the chat, or you can lift your hand, and we will take a few very quickly before we finish. And I think I had seen one which had been sent quite early by who is this? Newton. So for those, for these phobias, people have e.g. hydrophobia, claustrophobia, fear for heights, etc. Are they termed as a form of mental health or disorder or stroke illness? Because sometimes people get panic attacks in these situations, like when in deep water or when they see spiders, or even when they go to high places and look down. Is that a mental illness, such fears?
Okay, phobia is a mental disorder. Why we call it a mental disorder is because it is something that actually immobilizes you, something that interferes with your normal life. Because when you have phobia, maybe for heights, you have phobia for water, like hydrophobia. It means that even when you go swimming with friends, you find that you have to stay away while everyone is enjoying. So it means that it is interfering with your life. You're not able to live like other people. So that's why we call it a disorder. And it needs an intervention. A therapist will want to take you through what we call the cognitive behavioral therapy, because phobias actually come from thoughts. What is it that you're thinking about that thing or that item, and where did it come from? Where did it start? We say that like all children are born innocent, but we can actually teach a child to be afraid of something. You see, like when you introduce something and then you say, ma. So you are teaching that person to associate that thing with fear. You see, like a baby, a baby, you can put the baby in a dark room and they'll sleep peacefully. But after some time, then you find that someone hides in a dark room, and when the child is entering, you say, ma. So they start associating darkness with danger. Again, the source of this phobia may have been a bad experience that someone has had with maybe that item. Maybe someone saw someone falling from a high place and, something bad happening. And so they develop a phobia towards that thing. So a therapist will actually want to connect the dots and see where did this fear originate from. And then they can help someone to come out of it. And that's why I'm talking about using the cognitive behavioral therapy, so that person is taught. There are many techniques that we use. Sometimes when you assess someone and you find that they will not be affected by it, we can use something that we call flooding, where you expose that person to what they fear. If they are afraid of snakes, then you take them to the snake park and you expose them to those snakes. They see enough of it until the fear disappears. It is not a one-day thing, but someone can be, taken through where you just accompany the person so that they feel safe with you and you expose them to that, to whatever it is that they fear until the fear goes. So there are many techniques in what I'm calling the CBT, that is cognitive behavioral therapy, that we can use to help someone overcome a phobia. So, so my answer to that question is that yes, phobias are a mental disorder because they interfere with your normal operations. They make you unable to do some things. They make you unable to go to some places. They make you unable to touch some things because you are too afraid. And if it happens to you in a public place, it can even cause embarrassment to you. That's why it has to be managed. And there are ways of managing phobias. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Daktari. Very well answered. Yeah. And going to the next question here by Mwangi, John M. Gakobo, quite a lengthy one. and an interesting one as well. Now that I think is also closely reference to something that you said. When somebody has a disorder, preaching to them is not one of the solutions. So how do you deal with the matters that have a spiritual angle, physical, a physical angle, more than a physical angle, although they are manifesting physically? Some challenges are purely machinations coming from the spiritual realm, which some people cannot wrap their minds around. They become so draining, solely vexing, when one don't seem to get a solution from spiritual authority and prayers too. A number of people find themselves in this distressing situation situation like this. Unfortunately, no one can invite spirits into a physical meeting to air their grievances with the victim. So many suffer in silence, even when they try to put smiles in church. Okay, it's more of a, it's a mix of a question and quite a bit of a thesis there. Daktari.
Do you have a pastor amongst us? Because, when we talk about treatment of mental illness, I'm not saying that pastors should stay out of this treatment. Actually, we talk about a multidisciplinary approach. And that is why you find that even in the center where I work, the model that I use, we call it biopsychosocial spiritual model, meaning that there are issues that need to be dealt with medically. Like, for example, depression. Depression is a condition that needs to be dealt with medically. That's the bio. Then psycho is where now we take the patient or the client through counseling because of psychological issues, like what I said about negative thinking, low self-esteem. These are issues that you can talk someone out of. Psychological, biopsycho. Social, sometimes it's about the relationships, how people are relating. Maybe there is violence in the family, there are issues of upbringing. And so even when we are dealing with these clients, sometimes we have to do what we call mediation so that we can try to help them heal the broken relationships. And then there are those issues that are spiritual. People who just don't believe in a higher power. And we try to introduce to them the idea of a higher power, because there are those who will find their strength in just surrendering their problems to a higher power. So the idea is to understand what is the best approach to deal with this problem. Because why I say that some problems will not be solved through just prayer is because prayer is good. I am a very prayerful person, by the way. But then at what point do we realize that this issue needs to be handled by another professional? I have prayed. It is good to pray so that even the medication will work when the person is given the medication. So the issue is to understand. Let people go to their pastors. Let the pastors pray. But the pastors also ask for wisdom to know, is this issue going to be solved through prayer, or does this person need to be seen by a professional? I think that is what I would want to say, that we need to know the demarcation. At what point do I stop and refer? Because even me as a professional, there are people who will come to my office and I realize that this problem will not go away through just talking. This person needs medication. And because I am not a medical doctor, then I call a psychiatrist. I write a referral so that the person can go to the next level and now do the bio, which is the medication. Then I will do the psychological, the social, and then the spiritual. There are times when, by the way, even in my facility, every Wednesday, there is a pastor who comes, there's an evangelist who comes just to introduce people to the idea of the higher power. So there are issues that are spiritual. Yes, I agree. but then there are those issues that need medication. And that's why you will find that in most churches, even in the church that I belong to, which is the Presbyterian Church, they have doctors in the, you know, in the health committee, so that there are those issues that really need the attention of medical doctors. And it doesn't mean that the church is surrendering its role on handling the spiritual issues, but then we must be alive to the fact that there are those issues that need a combination of approaches.
Thank you very much. Multidisciplinary approach. I think a lot of learning there. Wonderful. Thank you. I hope your question has been well handled, John. Ruth says not everyone who is smiling is happy. Yeah, that's a take home from what you said. Human support is key to enhance good mental health. I think that came in very powerfully as you are sharing. Sometimes you might be seeing somebody just smiling and just being okay, and then kumbe, they are drowning. Something that you said that was interesting, I also picked was, you know, where you said that one of the signs of mental illness is the inability to make decisions, you know, or quick decisions, you know, delay too long. But also, I remember earlier you had also mentioned about some people who are just too quick to make decisions. You start this business before it's you are into another one. So you know, I mean, looks like a conflict. You know, one person is making very quick, you know, very hasty decisions. The other person is not even making any decisions, and both of them look like they are ill. So it's like there are two extremes. I don't know what you comment about that as I go to the next question.
Yeah, so when we talk about decision making, what kind of decision? Because if it's about good mental health, it means also making sound decisions.
Sure.
Good decisions, isn't it? So if it's a decision to start a business and abandon it halfway, and then, you know, start another one and abandon it halfway, becoming like a rolling stone, it is true that you're making decisions, but what kind of decisions? That is what now makes the difference.
Wow, thank you. Very nicely handled. Okay, Dixon is asking, hello, can we get the slides for those who have joined late? Dixon, we are streaming live on Facebook. You can find the recording there. I've just shared the link. Please click on it and subscribe. You will be able to get everything, and even replay at your pleasure. Thank you. Then, let me go to the next question. Sorry, I got distracted. John again says exercise allows the energy to flow well in the body. It removes energy blockage and stagnation. Yeah, thank you very much. Very helpful. Daktari Benjamin Kivuva says full dose. Thank you, Daktari and ROMP. Millie says thank you very much. A candid talk. I feel she. I feel her talk is cutting across and touching almost every one of us. Yeah, I think that's what I was saying, John, that I feel like I might also be, you know, in the same boat. Yeah, touching each one of us, yes. Very helpful, thank you. He says, okay, another question here by John. Can counseling psychologists, that is mental health experts, like you, get depressed or experience mental issues? And maybe to add on to that, Daktari, can the problems of others actually be the reason as to why you're getting your, you know, a share of the problems here?
Yes, by the way, there are many suicide cases among mental health practitioners, surprisingly. Wow. Because like I said, there is need for self-care. And that is why mental health practitioners are encouraged to always go for supervision. Supervision means that you go to a therapist and you share about your experiences. Sometimes we do peer supervision where you discuss the problems or the issues that you're handling, and then you are able to relieve yourself of you know, the burden. Because sometimes when people come and pour their issues on you, if you're not careful, you may find yourself carrying the burdens of others, and they become part of your problem. So someone may have been suicidal, they come and they pour the problems on you. Another one pours the problems on you. You carry those suicidal feelings, and you end up committing suicide yourself. So you end up, you become like Jesus, that you carry the sins of the world. You know how Jesus, how he carried the sins of the world until he went on the cross. So we are told that when Jesus was on the cross, he was carrying the sins of the world. So that's why therapists need to go for supervision, go for counseling, for therapy, so that you can share what you have been going through, the issues that you have been handling. Then you're able to avoid burnout, because burnout is a very dangerous disease among mental health practitioners. And that's why you find psychiatrists, because it is only now that psychiatrists have started embracing counseling. So as a person goes to them, they have mental illness. Of course, before they prescribe, they'll have listened to the story of the person who is suffering. But since they don't go for counseling, then you find that they start getting mental problems. But today they are embracing counseling. Actually, many psychiatrists are studying counseling psychology, just to be able to handle their own emotions, and also so that they don't carry the burdens of their clients.
Wow, thank you very much. Well answered, and wow, it's great. I think this speaks of every caregiver. I want to believe even maybe it speaks also of pastors need such kind of movements also, of refreshing and so on. Yes. And Megu says, very great talk, Doc. For sure, you never disappoint. And Newton responds, I think it's in response to his question, satisfying answer and good possible interventions. Emmanuel says, do you offer guiding and why for free, Emmanuel? Why don't you want to pay? Daktari has been to school for so many years. Please pay something. But yes, Daktari, please, do you offer these things for?
Yeah, sometimes we do. It's a case by case, pro bono. Still in the service of God. I don't think there is anyone who would come to me and I turn them away. Yes, it's case by case. There's those that I will charge very expensively, and others that I will not charge. It's case by case.
Okay,
yeah, so don't be afraid to make a call. Just call, we can talk. This is the work that I do. Like I said, I'm a mental health enthusiast. So that enthusiasm has seen me also doing counseling without charging once in a while.
Okay, thank you. There you go, Emmanuel. You have your answer. See, Daktari, she will decide whether you pay very expensively or $50. Yes. Tonga here, narcissists. I heard about this last year. Is there a condition? Is this a condition? Is there a condition, or is there a condition a mental disorder? And if so, is there hope for people with such tendencies? Narcissists. I read quite a bit about it last year. I had not heard about it. What causes narcissism? You want to comment on that, Daktari?
Yes, narcissist. A narcissist is a person who has an exaggerated sense of self-importance. Someone who feels that they are more important than they actually are. Someone who has an insatiable desire for attention and admiration. And these are people who are hard to please because they put very, very high expectations on others. For you to please a narcissist, you must bend backwards. And of course, it's a disorder. It's a disorder because what lies at the base of a narcissist is low self-esteem. And so when this person is acting important and wanting people to worship them, it's because of the worthlessness that they feel within. And so they will do, it's like a defense mechanism, but now it becomes behavioral. It's a disorder because it can affect their lives. They can actually become isolated, because like when you treat people with disrespect and you expect too much attention, someone will, you see, like the hare that was trying to pick some fruits, and it was jumping and it was not getting the ripe fruits, and they said, after all, they are not ripe. So even when you try to please a narcissist and you find that you are not achieving much, then you give up. And that's why you will find that narcissists will jump from one relationship to another, to another, to another, because there is an apex that they want someone to reach, to please them, to admire them, to worship them. And if you're not giving them that kind of attention, then they jump to the next person. So it's a disorder that makes someone unstable in life. And then they hurt even the people that they love. And if, you know, in counseling and in psychology, we say the first step is to make someone aware of what you have observed. Make someone aware, give them information. So when they have that self-awareness, then they will be able to reduce those tendencies. It may not go away completely, but at least they will be able to moderate their behavior. And when they find that they are going too far, then they are able to kind of self-regulate. So yes, there is hope for a narcissist, but they must also be willing to accept that they have those tendencies and be open to help when it is given to them. I don't know whether that answers your question. Yeah.
There was a second part which was asking what causes it. Is it something inborn or?
Yeah, sometimes it is.
Yes.
It can be inherited. It can be inherited because sometimes it's about the mind. Sometimes it is actually a learned behavior, because like when you grow up in a family where people behave in a certain way, you learn, you observe, and you imitate that behavior. Because like what Albert Bandura teaches, he says that he calls it the social learning theory, that a child will observe something that we learn through observation and imitation. So you can observe something as a young child and later you reproduce that behavior. Also, it can arise from upbringing. When sometimes as parents, we subject our children to a lot of praise and admiration and telling them you are the best, you know, overpraising a child so that it gets into their head and they think that the world was made just for them and that they can walk over everyone else. A child who is not allowed to do anything at home, you know, they are made to feel like little kings and queens. And so even when they go out there in the world, they expect people to serve them. They expect people to answer to them, to serve, you know, to admire them. You know, the same way that their parents were admiring them, telling you are the best, oh dad, oh mom, you are the best, you see. So they expect people to also do the same out there. And when they find that the world is different and no one is even paying attention, they can become aggressive and very, you know, antisocial. So it can be a learned behavior, something that you observe and then you imitate, and also the parenting skills. A parent can actually produce a narcissist.
Wow. Thank you very much, Dr. Yeah, so one more question, or actually there are two, so I can see a reaction there by John to your answer, that at the dog telling a narcissist the year one is just suicide. I think he's just reacting and laughing there. Okay. And now Moniz is saying, is having an uncontrollable sleep after meal to an extent it affects your, to the extent that it affects your performance, a sign of mental health or maybe issue. Uncontrollable sleep after meal. Akikula tu bas ni hivyo. Ameenda.
You know, the only time we will say that something is a problem if it interferes with your normal life. If you're talking about a person who maybe sleeps and is unable to wake up in the morning and go to work because they overslept, you know, that could be a problem. And maybe something that I need to mention, that you can suffer from a sleep disorder. You can suffer from a sleep disorder. There are people who are not able to sleep, and then when they wake up in the morning, then that sleep just hits them, and you can see someone even falling. They look like they are fainting. That's a sleep disorder. The mind just shuts down. And then also there are those that we call the sleepwalkers. Someone, you know, wakes up and just walks around the house. So it is true you can have a sleep disorder. So the what I would say is when you have such a problem and you feel that it is interfering with your life, the best way is to talk to a therapist, because there are questions that someone will ask so that they can, you know, they can trace the origin of that problem and they can be able to give a proper diagnosis. It is not something that I can tell you from where I sit that you have a problem. But I just need to bring it to your awareness that it is true that someone can suffer from a sleep disorder.
Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. And the fact that it also came up as a question here might be a concern in itself. So it is good, as Dr. has said, to see you know, an expert. Lastly, there are those who withdraw from people, avoid calls, stay indoors, and shut themselves out from the world. That's solitude. Does this mean, does this have anything to do with mental issues?
Okay, there are times when someone may just want to shut out the world, maybe because there's something they want to reflect on or something. But then the question is, how long has this been going on? Because you know, we say that psychology is a scientific enterprise, that you don't just look at something once and make a diagnosis and say this is a problem. You must ask, what is the frequency and how long has it been going on? So if this is a person who maybe just once that they shut their phone and they didn't want to talk to someone just once or twice, it is not enough to make that conclusion that they have a mental illness or that they have depression. But this person who stays away a whole week, you can't reach them on phone. 2 weeks, you can't reach them on the phone. They have isolated themselves. It has taken longer and it is starting to cause concern. So my answer to that question would be, for how long and how frequently? Is it long enough to raise concern? When it goes on for about 2 weeks, for depression, we say a sadness and hopelessness and isolation and withdrawal that goes on for more than 2 weeks, then that is a point of concern. But if it is once, even me, sometimes I just say today, I don't want to talk to anyone. I want to rest. I want to, you know, you switch off the phone because you just want to relax. But you will not say that I have depression. But if I do that 1 week, 2 weeks, then it's a point of concern. Yeah.
Matthew, you are on mute.
Sorry. I'm so sorry. And the way I've said very powerful things. Let me try to repeat. Yeah, so I was saying thank you very much, Daktari. I think it's been one powerful session. We have not had a session on mental health here, and it's so enlightening. You know, at times we just, I mean, after a session like this, you just discover how much you didn't know, and the way we have always thought that we know. And I think that's how I feel. And thank you very much for sharing that information with us. And in that, you know, that level of detail, I want to believe everybody who was paying keen attention has learned a lot. You know where you fall yourself. Possibly you have already identified that actually you need help, or possibly you have already started now understanding why your neighbor, why your friend, why you are, you know, your family member is behaving the way they do, and what are some of the possible solutions that are there for them. How can you be able to be of help? So thank you. I want to believe that we have learned something. So I'll be inviting Dr. Beatrice in just a minute to make her closing remarks, even as she shares as you share your contacts, where we can and how we can get you. Because I can see somebody, Sam, is asking, this session is so powerful and came in timely. Please share how she can be contacted. Thank you. So yes, I know Dr. will be having that movement shortly. Yes, for for those ones who are new, of course, I already mentioned when Dr. had taken a small break, network. And I mentioned this is a program that we've been running for quite a while. It's not a program. We do this every Saturday. Actually, we've done this for a year and almost a half now. And it's been so powerful. We have had so many talks. The mental health is one of them. And so many others that we have been having in different areas, as long as they are important and are relevant to the youth. We bring our speakers to speak on different areas. And yes, keep tuned. You can join our WhatsApp group to follow more, so that you know what is coming next and next and next and next. Maybe also to mention, there are a few other programs that we run on the side. One of them is individualized mentorship. Let me start with a conference that we had in June. We had a powerful conference with great speakers like the Wahigas, Wahiga Mwaura, Dr. Wale Akiemi, and so many others. I think we had a powerful team, Masi Masika and others. After that, I know we took a little bit of a break on several of our items, but yes, we are reviving them in a big way. Individualized mentorship. I mean, we have a team, a pool of mentors. We have a pool of mentees. We also do premarital counseling. We just finished our first cohort, and now I'm making an official announcement. The poster will be following that we are recruiting immediately after this for the next class, and we will also be having some of the people who attended the first class, sharing some of the testimonies. I think it was one of the most powerful. I can see some of them here. Powerful kind of learning that we have had. It took almost, I think, what was it, 10, I can't remember how many sessions, like 10, 11 sessions, and it was very, very powerful. So yes, the next one will be coming on soon. Yeah, the other thing is we also have, a university chapter that is for university students, where I know if you are, you can WhatsApp us and we will give you more details if you're not in part of our family. And of course, Content Creators Hub. Yeah, having some guys who are gifted in content creation, learning from experts and also building each other, sharing knowledge, sharing instincts, and a few other things that are coming up. We want just to have a system that is as supportive as possible. But yes, the main thing that we do is this learning. It is continuous. We are impacting lives. Thank you very much. So without any further ado, I want to have Daktari make your closing remarks. And once again, thanks a lot. I can only imagine, the sacrifice, the planning, the preparation, 2 hours seated here, And clearly I can see you are not our age. You said you have adult children, and we do not take it for granted. And thank you very much. And for the learners, for the people who are here, the only way we can be able to pay Daktari here is picking whatever she has taught us and running with it to our own help and the help of the others who are surrounding us. I'm sure she will be happy that she was of help. Thank you, Daktari. Back to you to make your closing remarks.
So thank you, Matthew.
Yeah.
I really want to appreciate the opportunity to participate in this forum. I never take it for granted, even the opportunity even to share the little that I know, the little that I have picked along the way in my own experience as a mother, my own experience as a teacher, and my experience as a mental health practitioner. So I feel very honored actually to be speaking to young people, because you see, the young people, they are our future. And it is very disturbing when we see the many lives that we are losing through suicide and depression. And I think, like Wangari Maathai said, what is the little, like the hummingbird, the few people that you can reach, the many people that you can reach, you just do your bit to save as many lives as possible. So for me, actually, it's a privilege to be given this forum to share this information, and also to encourage the young people. Sometimes we feel that like the problem are so overwhelming, and mine is to encourage you that there is hope, that you are not alone, even when your brain is deceiving you that no one cares. Remember, there must be someone who cares. You are not alone. You are loved. People care for you. You matter to us. You matter to this nation. And our tomorrow is in your hands. And this is why I feel excited actually to have had this opportunity to encourage us. And also remember what we say, that we can actually monitor ourselves. Those symptoms that we have enlisted here about having mental health, when you find yourself, that you're disagreeing with people every now and then, you are getting those angry outbursts and all that, you are not becoming a team player, you are isolating yourself. Remember that there must be something that is disturbing me, and I need to talk to someone. And also maybe encourage us to look out for one another. Don't ignore that person who has switched off their phone a whole week, you can't reach them. That person who has left the group, don't ignore them, don't insult them. Find out, maybe something is disturbing them. We can be our brother's keeper. We can look out for one another. And even when we see like other people are doing so well, remember, some of it is not true. This thing we call fear of missing out. For us, who have good mental health, sometimes we say the joy of missing out, the JOMO. Yeah, so that you can be doing things that are going to propel your life forward. So as I finish, I'm saying, remember, you are enough the way you are. You are worthy. You are loved. You are not alone. And when problems come, help is available. Thank you, and may God bless you.
Thank you very much. So we just make a closing prayer. Our YouTube channel the link is the one I've shared there. Please copy it, or go just search for Royal Youth Mentorship Program for those ones who missed the start of the program. Yeah, please just pick it there. I want to invite Anne Mochai to make a closing prayer for us. Then after that, we'll be free to leave. As we leave, I will, as usual, I will play our anthem. You can listen as you walk out. Yes, Anne?
Let us pray. Almighty God, we thank you tonight and we honor you, Lord Almighty. Thank you for granting us this day, God Almighty, and this session that has been of great help into our lives, of God Almighty. Thank you for using our speaker tonight in a mighty way, O God Almighty. And thank you that you have entrusted the expertise in her, O God Almighty, that she may be of help even in this generation. I thank you and I pray for more insight and more knowledge and wisdom and expertise, oh God Almighty. Thank you for each and every person who have been present. I pray that God Almighty, you may help us even to apply this knowledge and even to help those around us for the glory and honor of your name. Thank you for this platform that you have made it possible, oh God Almighty, for us to gather here and learn, oh God Almighty. I pray that you may continue favoring us, that you may continue uplifting this platform in the name of Jesus Christ, that as many as of those who will come to these sessions, they'll find something valuable to run with and even have transformed lives. We thank you and we honor you. We pray for a good night and a peaceful one, and even into our lives. We thank you and we honor you. For this I pray, believing and trusting in the name of Jesus. Amen.
Amen. Amen. Amen. God bless you so much, everyone. Shalom. You can enjoy that even as you move out. Shalom.
I love you, Lord. Oh, your mercy never fails me. All my days I've been held in your hand. From the moment that I wake up until I lay my head, oh, I will sing of the goodness of God. 'Cause all my life you have been faithful, and all my life you have been so, so good. With every breath that I am able, oh, I will sing of the goodness of God. I love your voice. You will lead me through the fire, and in darkest night, you were close like no other. I've known you as a father, I've known you as a friend, and I have lived in the goodness of God, yeah. And all my life you have been faithful. Oh, and all my life you have been so, so good. Every breath that I am able, oh, I will sing of the goodness of God, yeah. Your goodness is running out, it's running